What's up, manga fans? This is Raphael from C Manga, and welcome back to another review of the Breaker New Ways. This week's chapter 164. So I have to say, it was quite a bit of a depressing chapter this week. It was very short, and there was kind of stuff we already knew going on in this chapter, like reveals that were kind of obvious from back in, like, I'd say, the chapter 80 days. So but it's kind of good in a way because it's like how when we were speculating that Chun-Woo was brainwashed and it was revealed. So it's kind of good to see it out in the open in the manga and it's made canon, so it's no longer a speculation. But it's just like I feel like this chapter was a bit wasted. It was short, and the fact that we had 4 missing pages at the end made it even shorter and more depressing. So I had to go and read the raw for that and just make out what was going on at the ends, and it wasn't really much, so it wasn't too, I wasn't missing out too much. You could just guess by the panels what was going on. But so yeah, if you guys didn't read that and you only read the translation, I'll leave the link for the site to the raw if you want to check that out. It's pretty much just an explosion at the end, that's about it. So yeah, check that out if you're interested. So on to the chapter itself. You kind of starting to feel sorry for Jong-Lae-won. Me personally, I'm starting to feel sorry for him. He's clearly being used so blatantly. The police chief is using him as a little bitch and scapegoat to keep himself under wraps. And this has been happening for so long now that when you put it all together, it's clear that Jong-Lae-won is his little scapegoat to keep himself covered up from, the government and their officials. And Jong-Lae-won is innocently and unconscious and unintentionally informing the police chief that the Sun-Woo are now going from Jamsil Stadium to Seoul Tower, and he's even thinking, oh wait, aren't they supposed to be in Jamsil? And Jong-Lae-won's like, no, the Nine Arts Dragon is at Seoul Tower, so they're going there. And he's like, okay, then fine, you go back to Jamsil and deal with that. And it's like he's forcing him to do this, using an excuse as the Murim Inns are there, you need to go and handle that. And the police chief said he will handle Seoul Tower. So from that conversation, you could tell there's some dodginess in like the tone of his voice and his sentence. It's basically saying, mind your own business while I deal with this. But he's used obviously correct, like you might say, clever wording to make Jong-Lae-won think he's being sent back to deal with a situation when really he's being pushed out of the situation altogether. So Sera Kang also calls him, and she's requesting, an explosive ordnance disposal team, and he gets a bit frustrated, saying, "Yeah, I'm not your little thing to use and work around. I'm working with you on behalf of the government," and he demands to know where Shi-Woon's gone and why he's gone to Seoul Tower, and she basically says that there's bombs all over Seoul city, and they're going to detonate at 10 p.m. So that kind of shuts him up and makes him realize how serious the situation is. But Jong-Lae-won at first was kind of unconvinced. He thought maybe it was just a trap, just to lure the Sun-Woo clan out of the way, and then they could just blow up Jamsil Stadium. But she says, we've already found this information from Shi-Woon, and it's legit information because they found bombs at the site where they were given information of several addresses, and they've searched it and they found a vehicle full of explosives. So it's definitely happening. She's also said it's too late for a mass evacuation, which he suggested because the scale of the explosions, the amount of people there are in that city, the amount of bombs there are, it's going to be too late to do that. So they've scattered several Murim Inns to go and find as many bombs as they can. And then this is why she's contacted Jong-Lae-won, so that he can, obviously send out his bomb disposal squad to go and dispose of as many bombs as they can, because they know they're not going to be able to detonate all of them by 10 o'clock. And this is where she elaborates why Shi-Woon has gone off with the Sun-Woo clan to Seoul. She's saying that him going to meet with the Nine Arts Dragon, Chun-Woo, might prevent this whole situation. So she's saying that if we can at least, give the people of Seoul a little time and dispose of as many bombs as we can while Shi-Woon goes off to deal with Chun-Woo, then that's what we got to do. So I'm guessing Jong-Lae-won is finally shut up and understood the situation, although you wanted to know why he was told so late. And it's the same thing us lot were thinking. She considers there's a leak because the S.U.C are always been a step ahead of them. They've always had an advantage, and the Shi-Woon and his you might as well say Sun-Woo clan, everyone on that side, always play into the hands of the S.U.C. So it's clear that information is being leaked. So that's why only a few people, the Sun-Woo clan and Sera Kang and most likely So-Chun are the only people that know where Shi-Woon's gone, because there's someone leaking information and they can't afford to have it go to the S.U.C. But unfortunately for Jong-Lae-won, he's just leaked that to the most likely the mole that who's given the information to S.U.C. So yeah, to Shi-Woon the Sun-Woo clan, that's going there, most likely gonna be screwed. So we go to Shi-Woon's situation right now, and it was actually funny because Elder Kwon just knocks out this guy who's trying to stop them at a roadblock, and he's like, he'll be knocked out for 2 hours, don't worry. And then we go to Jae-Gal, who's being informed by Kwon Young that So-Jung basically knows about Shi-Woon being alive, and that he's being told to kill him. And Jae-Gal's obviously stressing about this, thinking, damn, I wanted to keep that secret for a while. But then he thinks we might as well go along with this, because obviously to please Jong-chan and not get him angry, and go and eliminate Shi-Woon. But Kwon Young was confused by this, because he's saying, isn't he at the Jamsil Stadium? There's too many people for you to do this plan. And this is where you think, yep, definitely that police chief knows is a mole. Jae-Gal says that he's not at Jamsil, he's on his way to Seoul Tower. So yeah, you can tell the police chief has informed him, and for him to already find out straight away, it's definitely the police chief informing the S.U.C and Jae-Gal. So as I said, at the end of the chapter, another unmanned vehicle crashes into the Sun-Woo clans, and it's got like a camera attached to the wheel, and it looks like walkie-talkies and most likely some sort of explosive in there. And we see Jong-Lae-won arrives later on to see the unconscious guy. This is where the chapter was untranslated, and we can assume that he's thinking about the situation, like Sera Kang's telling him about the bombs and everything. So I'm guessing he's thinking, crap, things are serious. Then he sees an explosion behind him, which is most likely from that van that crashed into the Sun-Woo clan, and he rushes off. So that's pretty much the chapter. All I can say is this is just, you know, one of these things where it's just revealing, obviously, moles and leaks, and true, or the amount of they say just truth to the whole situation. The police chief is definitely a leak. He's spoken with Kaiser before, who's linked with the S.U.C as of now, and that was back in chapter 85 or 6 or something, and that was, as I said, that was back then. So it's clear that he had ill intention, and he's a dirty cop. He's also using Jong-Lae-won to, you know, hide himself, because when Jong-Lae-won was asking about the S.U.C stealing bombs from a military base, he was told to keep quiet about it. You know, Jong-Lae-won was going to inform the higher ups, so you can tell the higher ups have no idea what the police chief is doing, and he's most likely using Jong-Lae-won to keep it on a low profile so he can keep himself all covered up and hidden from the government, and he can do whatever he wants, so like supplying the S.U.C with bombs, because that's clearly what he's done, along with, you know, the traffic lights and everything, all that turning off, and all that traffic building up to let the S.U.C and Chun-Woo through. That was all he's doing as well. So it's pretty much definitely him. He's the lead, and he's supplying S.U.C and Jae-Gal with all that information. That is why they've got such an advantage in this current war right now, and why they're easily attaining military bombs and everything. So that's about it for this week's chapter. As I said, it wasn't really much going on, and obviously the lack of the last 4 pages and the length of this chapter obviously made it a bit disappointing. So you guys know, as usual, if you get any opinions, predictions or comments about this chapter and the next one, leave them in the comment box below. And also, if you're new to the channel and enjoyed this video, subscribe for more content, and I'll speak to you guys next week.